welcome to Season 2 of Boundless, where we give voice to Good Shepherd Rehabilitation's patients and their families. Our guests share their remarkable stories of how they triumphed over illness, injury, and disability through the arduous but life-changing process of rehabilitation. I am joined in the studio not by one guest, but two today. Sharon Abato, age 76, and her son, Edward. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Sharon,
Yes.
you had 4 strokes, thankfully survived. And I
Yes,
must
I
say, you
did.
look great. Would never know
you.
that you had 1, let alone 4.
Thank
And
you.
you're now recovering. And Ed is your primary caregiver.
He is.
And so let's start off by kind of describe your life and your personality and you know, your son and your relationship.
Well, my relationship with Doug and my son Ed is wonderful. It's they've done a lot for me. I couldn't be where I am now without them. Doug gave me a home to live in, his home,
Right.
and I'm staying with them, and they bend over backwards for me. They're very, very good.
Right. And so, Ed, we should say,
I'm so proud
Doug is
of
your
him.
partner,
Doug is my partner.
and together
Yes.
you support one another,
We do.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
and
It's
that's great.
wonderful.
My mom is
Yes.
a very fun-loving woman, and she never lost any of that through any of the hurdles that she's had to get over this year. So we're very thankful for that we still have her in her full capacities like that.
Right. And you know, of course, you know your mother better than anyone, right? Do you feel like that personality of hers helped her weather the storm and get through these things?
For sure. She is the strongest woman I have ever known. And I definitely think, you know, there were some rocky moments in the beginning, and sometimes she just wanted to give up and quit. But, you know, with me giving a little bit of a forceful hand, you know, and Doug as well, we got her to therapies when she didn't want to go. We kind of bribed her sometimes with lunch afterwards or some ice cream at night or something along those lines, whatever it took to get her there. But her personality, that will, that might, that strength definitely got her through all of this.
Right. And I detect a sense of
And my
humor there, too. Which
Oh,
you can't,
a very
you know,
big sense
you
of
can't
humor.
underestimate the value
Yeah.
of, you know, even laughing at at life's predicaments.
Yeah.
You have to.
So tell me.
He's Mr. Positive. He really is.
Well, that is great. Well, I got to give you credit because you know you raised him, so
I
you did something right
and
there.
that's one thing I did right in my life.
I'm sure you did more than that, but that's a big
this
one
was
right
the
there.
best thing I did.
Yeah, sitting right next to you. So tell me, you had 4 strokes altogether.
Yes.
And when did this happen? When did you have your first?
My first one was, I get a little confused, but February 7th, 24.
Right, last year.
Yeah.
And how did it come on? Did you know you were
I
having a stroke?
didn't know. It's even hard to explain because it was like I don't know. Everything went blank, like it was like I was in a fog.
Right.
And I remember going out to my living room and calling my husband. And that's it. That's all I remember. I called 911. I don't even remember them putting me in the squad.
My dad, just to clarify, my dad had passed away like 12 years prior to this.
Oh.
So, you know, she was very confused, and we didn't know. They said that she actually had the stroke on the 6th, and she went to bed and then woke up the next morning, and that's when she called. I was at work, and Doug called me that my mom had somehow called him, couldn't figure out how to call me, and I rushed out of work and met them at the hospital, and that was kind of the beginning of this journey.
Right. Yeah, and they say with strokes, you know, time is of the essence.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, and then you had another one after that.
Yes, I did.
How soon after the first?
March 16th.
No, February 16th. That was 10
Oh,
days.
same month.
Yeah, it was 10 days after. She had gotten discharged. About 3 days after the first stroke, we had her at home, and the only thing that was affected after that first one was she had lost her left field of vision.
Okay.
And then 10 days later, we noticed some behaviors that, you know, mimicked another stroke, and so we called 911 and got her to the hospital again, and sure enough, she had the second stroke.
Right. And what resulted from the second stroke?
The second stroke was she never lost any strength in any of her limbs. The opposite happened. She actually got like super strength in her left side,
Really?
but she lost all regard for the left side. So if she was holding something in her left hand and she wouldn't let it go, and I would say, "Mom, like, let that go," she would open her right hand and say, "I don't have anything." And I would say, "Well, your left hand." And then she would say, "Oh," and open her hand.
Wow.
But she had no regard for the left. She wouldn't look to the left. When she would eat dinner, there would be a clear center line down the plate, and everything to the right was gone, and everything to the left was untouched.
Really?
Yeah.
And does that signify something about the right hemisphere of the brain?
Right, yeah. The first two strokes, the first stroke hit the upper right, I don't know the names of the parts of the brain, but
Right,
the upper part of the right side.
Yeah.
The second was the lower part of the right side, which both affected the left side.
Got it.
And then the one, the upper part of the right side of the brain affected the vision.
Right. So now you're experiencing, these things, these limitations that you never had before.
No.
And what were you feeling at that time? How did that feel? What were you thinking? Were you worried? Were you nervous?
Absolutely. To be honest with you, I was, at one point, I was wishing I just wouldn't make it. Just take me. I had enough.
You had this, it was a sense of despair that this stuff was happening.
He got me into Good Shepherd, and, I wasn't even there a week, and I felt better.
Wow.
What they did for me, it was a miracle, because I couldn't go in there without a wheelchair.
Right.
And I haven't used a wheelchair since.
Wow.
They
So
got
what
me
about
walking.
the other two strokes? Now, did there was some time in between?
Yeah, everything was going really well. She had been doing therapies
Right.
consistently 3 times a week from last March until until July, and then she started graduating from PT and OT, and then we were actually looking for apartments by our house because she was getting ready to move back
And could
independent
live
again.
independently,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were leaving her for like 4 or 5 days at a
Right.
time while we went away, and then November 1st came around, and we noticed the one evening that her speech started to slur, and she kind of was like off balance. So we knew something was up. So again, we called 911 and got her to the hospital, and sure enough, she had a third stroke. And then she went into inpatient rehab again at Good Shepherd for another week after discharge from the hospital. And when she got out, she had done a follow-up CAT scan that showed something on the left side front of the brain. And they ordered an MRI, and that MRI showed, in fact, she had a fourth stroke. So that fourth stroke, we really didn't even know that it happened at all. If we hadn't gone for that follow-up, we wouldn't have, we wouldn't even have known.
At what point did you need a wheelchair?
After I had my first stroke.
Right after the first one, so
Right
it
after the
began
first
right
stroke.
there.
And it wasn't because she couldn't walk. It was more because like she couldn't see, and she would hit anything that was on she would bump the table. She would hit so we would like wheel her in just to get her places. She never lost the ability to walk. But she wasn't able to walk confidently
Right. Other
and being
things affected impacted
correct.
it. Yeah. So, what were your? Here you are now facing all of these limitations, let's say, and what were your goals? Again, you had Ed to kind of sort
My
of
goals,
help you along.
Just to be the way I used to be, independent,
Right.
do anything I wanted to do. I have a little bit of OCD, and I can't do a lot of stuff that I want to do, and I have
Right.
to get used to
What are the
that.
kind of things you like to do? What is your?
I like to iron. I like to do laundry.
You can come to my house, okay?
I do. I really do.
She loves chores. She loves chores.
Really?
She
Yeah, I like
loves
to
chores.
keep things in order, but it'll get there.
You're
I'm almost
organized.
there.
You also love
I
to
do a lot
crochet.
right now.
You love to crochet. You love to.
Yeah, I love to crochet, and I tried to do it last week, but it was hard because of my eyes.
Right. We take for granted the senses that we have, right? Vision, hearing, whatever it might be, speech, until they're challenged, until we face an issue. And then we realize, wow, all this time I haven't thought about it, but that's how important they are.
Yeah,
And so it affects your fine motor skills because you're not,
Everything.
you can't see. And I know even
The depth
myself wearing
perception.
glasses and being nearsighted and farsighted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what kind of therapies did Good Shepherd apply to help you get you back on your feet, so to speak?
Well, I had physical therapy. I had occupational therapy, speech and vision.
Right.
And everyone was different, of course. Physical, she worked me very hard. She cared about me. It wasn't about, I would say thank you to my therapist, and she'd say, no, Sharon, you did it, you know.
Right. How
And
important is that? That kind of.
I love to hear it, and I thought it
motivation.
was so wonderful of
Yeah.
them to say that to me.
Right.
And that was Kylie. She really, am I allowed to say names?
Of course.
Yeah, that was Kylie. Kylie
Shout out
was,
to Kylie, wherever you
yes,
are.
Hey, Kylie.
Kylie is so sweet. And I got to know a lot about her personally.
Right.
And that means a lot to me. I guess it's my age, I don't know.
Right.
But it did. I mean, I know her fiance's name, her mom and dad,
Right.
her sister, and it's wonderful. It really is.
Right.
That you can,
know, it goes to show that, whether it's a physician or a nurse or a therapist, a technician, whatever, they're not in labs dealing with petri dishes. They're dealing with human
People.
beings.
Yeah.
And so that human factor is so important
yeah,
in your providers, your medical
yes.
staff,
Well,
the people who are helping.
I
you.
say shout out to Kylie. She is wonderful, along with all the others.
They all
but
are.
She
They really
is
are.
wonderful.
I will say that the therapist at Good Shepherd, they like make connections, like not just with her, but with us, with Doug, with myself. They know us. We've been there a year, and
They're wonderful.
yeah, they're so communicative, so just they care about who we are as people and what we're going through. You can really feel it in them, and
Right.
they're truly a special staff.
And that's not something that you can you can't count it, right? It's not quantifiable.
No.
That is a quality that is, it's a human quality
Yeah.
that you can't write, fill out an application.
No.
And,
No.
there's no category for it, really.
No, it's a personality, and it's even the front, like Rose and Nancy at the front desks greet us by name when we walk in. Every Monday, every Friday, and they know us. And like the one time she couldn't make it, and I had called and left a message, and the communication broke down somewhere. They didn't get the message, and they were all panicked about where was Sharon.
Right.
And when we went in the next day, they're like, "Thank God you're okay." Like we were so worried about you. We don't care about you missing the session. We're just so worried about you, and you could tell that was very genuine. It wasn't something that they were just. It wasn't at surface value.
It was heartfelt.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that does make a difference. For
sure.
It
and
does.
Then,
It really
it
does.
already is it's difficult, going through rehabilitation in and of itself. So,
Sure.
To have therapists that you look forward to seeing,
Yes.
that makes a big difference.
It's so funny because Doug and I will always say that, sometimes, especially in the beginning, it was so difficult getting her there, but it was so difficult getting her out. Because she would just be talking to everybody and laughing, and I'm like, "Mom, I'm starving. We got to go. It's time to go." And like she would be in a completely different mood coming out of there than she was going in. And
Right.
that's attributed, I think, to her
I
obviously,
just
but to the
loved every one of
therapist.
them.
Yeah,
I didn't have a bad therapist.
yeah, they're
Right.
amazing.
Not one.
And the great thing is that with all of that, you made progress.
I sure
You got
did.
to where you needed to be.
I sure did.
You got out of that wheelchair, and now you
They all
walked
got
into
me
the
out of
studio,
wheelchair. Yeah.
and I wouldn't know that you ever needed a wheelchair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
She's graduating PT again on the 17th for the second time.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that, and
that's
looking forward to
great.
that celebration as well. We celebrate every graduation, so
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's a milepost.
it is.
And
Yes.
what it signifies is more independence,
Yes, it does.
the ability
Yes,
to
it
do
does.
things. And the other thing is that you learn so much on this journey, right? I mean,
So much.
You learn about the mind, the brain, how
So
it
much.
works.
Yeah, it's so fascinating.
The medical system, the technologies that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately for you, Sharon, Ed is a superintendent of a school system,
Yes, correct. In
so that
Jersey.
you're an educator.
I am.
And so learning comes natural. And I would
my
think that
thing.
you got that quality from your mother.
Yeah, that's my speech therapist. Jessie's her name. I always tell her. It's
Because
funny.
you were having some
I tell
speech
Jesse,
problems as well,
Jess,
right?
well, she was trying to
More
get
for like
my
information
mind.
processing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Right.
And
She's
I
she's
always
a former
tell her,
teacher.
yeah,
So
I always
that's what
tell her,
this is.
Jesse, stop acting like my son because I don't like it. No, we go back and forth.
Right.
Okay, teacher. They didn't care.
Right. Oh, so you were a teacher?
No, she was not a
me.
teacher. No, her speech therapist
speech
was.
therapist was a teacher. I
Yeah.
see. I
Before
got
she
it.
became a speech therapist, she was a teacher.
Gotcha. Right.
Yeah, and she's a sweetheart too.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's great. So now, what are your plans? What is your life like, having progressed so far?
I
with
get
your
to go
rehabilitation.
out all the time.
Right.
To
What do you like to do?
dinners.
Yeah.
We went to. They took me to bingo.
Shopping.
I always go shopping. That's for
likes to
sure.
shop.
You don't
She likes
order
to
from.
Oh, she does that too.
Oh, yeah.
I
She does
do, and
that.
I don't
Right.
realize what I ordered till like 10 same thing comes in the mail.
Yeah, 20 boxes on your
Yeah.
scope
The
out
same
there.
thing,
Right.
we'll have to return it. That's okay.
Right, but you can go get those boxes now, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
I
What
know.
advice would you give to anybody that's listening to this
Yeah.
about
If
to do?
anybody has a problem like I have, just make sure you go for therapy. Without the therapy, it's not going to be good. You need to get that therapy, and definitely get it at Good Shepherd
Yeah.
Rehabilitation. They are the best
There
ever.
you go. Well, when you're looking, from that starting point, and you look at that horizon, it looks like an awful long way to go, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
when they listen to someone who has made that journey and has gotten to the other side, it must be inspirational. It's the motivation they probably need at that
Yeah.
point. Sharon, I have a feeling you're an inspiration for everyone who meets you.
I try
everybody.
to be.
She really
Yeah.
is.
You have that energy, and you
I
have
really try to be. I am myself. I don't put on airs for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have one of my therapists did say to me, Leanne, told me not to come in here and not be myself. They wanted me to be Sharon. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I promised Leanne that's exactly what I was going to do. I said, I can't be fake. I have to be
No.
honest and be myself.
right. The word today is authentic. You are.
She is authentic.
and you
they
are too.
And I
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
So, well, I gotta say, it's great to have you on the show.
Oh, thank
you
you.
for
And
having us.
Thank you
often
for
when we
having
see
us.
caregivers, it's usually the daughter or the mother or whomever.
Yeah.
But it's great to see
Mother and son.
mother and son.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm proud of him.
That's
I really
great.
am. And
Proud
they
of
all
her.
love him. My therapist, every one of them think the world of him. They just have nothing but good things to say about him. And
Right.
it makes me feel great.
Wow. And it does point out that,
I did something right.
well, you absolutely
Yeah, I
did something
did.
right. Absolutely.
I did something right.
But
Don't
it
be
also
jealous. Just, you got to go with the flow. I did something right
But
in my life.
it also shows how every family member is involved.
Yes.
When someone has a catastrophic illness and a condition that comes after, everyone gets involved. Everyone is touched by it
Yes,
in one way or another.
absolutely.
And so we're all traveling through time, helping one another out because we never know when,
right.
something's going to happen that we need it.
So true.
Yeah, my therapists were my rock, but this is the rock,
Wow.
and that's Ed.
Well, I'm so honored to have both of you here. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
We're honored to be
We're
here.
honored
Thank
to
you.
be here.
Yeah, for real.
So, Sharon,
Yes.
we appreciate you sharing your story of resilience and determination.
Oh, thank you.
We also learned that you get an A+ in parenting.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot.
Well, it's obvious.
But it
okay?
is.
All we
Yeah,
have
I
to do
have
is
to
meet
say.
Ed for 2 seconds, and we know,
Yes.
you did a great job.
Thank you.
So thank you both for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Remember that, Ed, when we go home.
Ice cream tonight. Yeah.
There you go.
Ice cream tonight.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you for tuning in. Join us next time for more boundless real life stories of perseverance, health, and wellness from Good Shepherd Rehabilitation. I'm Grover Silcox. Stay well.